Continuing from the previous episode 1810, at the bottom of the Devil's Lair, which had been completely collapsed and broken, the Dark Underworld Master and Ji-zan and others had already fled, most of them along the exit, but at this time, the place was in a mess. At the bottom of the Devil's Lair, the holy and bright aura of the angels and the aura of the holy flame of Shuiyuan, the power of the divine artifact, stunned the entire space, and countless ground cracked like the end of the day. The power of resistance was completely slain by Yu Bo, who was directly attacked by the two, and both body and spirit were destroyed. In the space, the wings of the two angels merged into one, turning into a golden light, with a touch of unreasonable divine power like the laws of heaven and earth, and suddenly came into contact with the flame of the holy ruler bursting out by Shuiyuan. Boom! The harsh sound and the energy ripples produced by the explosion appeared like a tragic scene of world destruction. At the same time, the golden beam of light and the flame of the flame quietly opposed each other, and there was no sign of winning or losing. Bang bang bang! As the energy ripples spread by the two attacks swept across, in the Devil's Lair, some human beings, sin guards and other humans left behind, countless screams were not released, and they were completely destroyed under the energy ripples. There is a special enchantment in the Devil's Lair, which is enough to isolate most of the strong human beings from the exploration, and can also shelter the sea beasts, so that the Devil's Lair is not affected by the outside world, but at this moment, the energy of the two is completely shattered. The desolate and tragic energy tide is like the wrath of the gods. In the core of this Devil Sea, a huge vortex of more than 1,000 feet swayed. The vortex is like a black hole, greedily swallowing countless creatures and sea areas. Shabu! With a sound, the attack at the bottom continued. I saw the flame god's light beating lightly, and a wisp of power to destroy all things emerged, completely smashing the golden holy light. Peefed! A mouthful of blood suddenly overflowed from the corner of Macal's mouth, looking at the defeated self with disbelief, and the power of the Chaiman seemed to turn into nothingness after defeating his attack. You are a dignified traveling angel, and you actually lost? Go! At this moment, the entire Devil's Lair was completely submerged by a huge turbulent seawater, the space collapsed, and the seawater covered it. The secret base of this sin was also completely disintegrated at this moment. Wang Om! Hearing the last words of the ancient Emperor Tuo Shi, Shuiyuan took over his body, exerting his vindictive energy to the limit, and with the explosive technique, he quickly escaped from here. The blow just now had consumed all the power of the ancient Emperor Tuosh, but Shuiyuan also knew that the ancient ruler of the eternal fire could evolve, its limit, the future, an artifact. However, Shuiyuan now has no time to think so much. The attack just now was indeed the victory of the ancient Emperor Tuosh, but unfortunately it did not cause much damage to Macal. Once Macal is killing, I am afraid Shuiyuan will really be killed, forced into a corner. At this time, what was almost imprinted in the deepest part of Xiao's body trembled quietly. That is the power of thunder, the gray thunder that surpasses heaven and earth. Boom! What a terrifying scene. Is this really something that a 5-star fighting immortal can display? Ji-zan and the others, who were constantly fleeing the sea and heading towards Shuiyuan City with the help of the Dark Underworld, looked at the thousands of jong cracks in the distant sea. Dizziness struck, but after a brief hesitation, Ji Xuanzai speeded up, and the angel shot. Shuiyuan was definitely not an opponent. At this time he had to go back to rescue soldiers. Want to go? You seem to have something interesting in your body. I use my traveling angel and send you to follow me back to the Holy See for investigation. If you don't obey the order, I have the right to obliterate you here. I think, at this time, you don't have that weird power anymore. At this moment, Macal, who was undulating violently, still maintained a high-pitched voice, facing an illusory body that had been standing quietly above the sea. Said, quote. No one answered Macal. The shadow that Macal was watching was still quiet. I was teased. Where are you running? Macal felt something was wrong, and suddenly approached the past, only to find that this body was just an ordinary human being, but Shuiyuan had stored a trace of the original energy to confuse the public. Chok Cho. Regardless of this sea area, the casualties caused by the battle in the Devil's Lair and the vortex of the sea area that continued to spread, relying on the angel's wings, the speed skyrocketed, turning into a stream of light, chasing and killing Shuiyuan. At this moment, in the entire sea area, Because of the disappearance of the devil's lair, countless sea beasts returned to normal, but their breath was weak and unable to struggle. There were no bones left, and a harsh roar, screams and desolation filled the entire sea area. Above the sea area, the black hole vortex is still going on. Every time it advances, the sea surface of thousands of meters above the sea area reaches the bottom, and it is swallowed up by it, and it is still growing. Would be a real catastrophe. Damn, that ** angel. Shuiyuan ran away desperately, but he smelled the angel chasing after him, and Zadu raised his head and looked behind him. A vortex like a black hole is rapidly attacking. In just a few minutes, the entire sea area has been swallowed up by 1/10 of it. If this continues, the power of the black hole is expanding, and I am afraid it will evolve into a real hell. No, it can't go on like this. This black hole vortex is caused by the power of the ruler and the wings of the angel. The power of the two has surpassed the basic 8-star fighting immortals. A crisis of eternity. Let's go back. It seemed that a very important decision had been made. Shuiyuan took a deep breath, the shadows of his soul appeared all over his body, and Shengyan added himself. Even if this thing started because of me, I absolutely can't let it go, because when I go forward, it is Shuiyuan City. Shuiyuan believes that he is not a person with a mind in the world, but Shuiyuan still understands the principle of one person doing things and one person being responsible. If it is not stopped in time, I am afraid that the black hole vortex will obliterate and swallow this place. Are you throwing yourself into the net? From a distance, Macau, who watched Shuiyuan run back, suddenly laughed. The black hole vortex has been lifted, and you can go back to the Holy See. Shuiyuan seemed to be compromising with Macau. Remove the black hole vortex? You are wrong. The region, human beings, and even sea beasts here are not pure because of Mar, so they can only be destroyed. And you have to remember that everything here is caused by your disobedience to the angels. It's all because of you. Macau smiled, then raised his pure white palm and pointed at Shuiyuan lightly. Peefed. With a loud voice, the pure white light turned into a tyrannical force that knocked Shuiyuan back several hundred meters, and the bones on his body made a crisp sound. Fall here, if that's the case. Let's die together. Shuiyuan reluctantly supported the heavy-colored body in his body, and smiled. His smile seemed ferocious and crazy. While speaking, the core of the battle in his body shook violently. Holy flame fire, soul realm, Do core, Do soul and many other means, swelled up in an instant. Pretty good little guy. No wonder he is thought about by my inheritor day and night. Just as Shuiyuan was about to give his all, a rare gray thunder in Shuiyuan's body slowly burst out with divine power, sending Shuiyuan away. Suppressed, a light-hearted laughter emerged. Reincarnation. Samsara? At this moment, looking at the woman in front of her who was surrounded by gray thunder and couldn't see her face at all, for the first time, Macau had an expression of powerless and trying to worship. Lei, Thunder Master? Shuiyuan was also dumbfounded by this sudden scene, but he also knew that when he helped Du Qifei, because of the Thunder Master, because of the Thunder Emperor's cannon, now this scene, not too weird. With me here today, you can't kill him. The black hole vortex was lifted by the wise, otherwise. The gray thunder was like a god's mansion, floating on the turbulent surface of the sea, and the Thunder Master clone also smiled quietly. Never mind. Squeak. With a sound, the black hole vortex was gently smoothed out by Macau. I have a good relationship with some of the powerhouses in the Holy See, and I will visit in person in the future. Lord Lei said softly. Macau cast a vicious glance at Shuiyuan. I hope you can have such good luck next time. I'll give you this as well. Next time we meet, I will tear off your angel skin and take a look at your rotten soul. Shuiyuan said. Macau sneered, tearing apart the space and disappearing here, apparently to track down the whereabouts of the devil fruit. Continuing from the previous episode 1811. At this time, as the gray thunderbolt in Shuiyuan's body slowly appeared like a god's mansion awakened from ancient times, it instantly formed a clone of the Thunder Master on the sea area, and directly shook the parade angel Macau back. The sea area here is now calm, only the Thunder Lord clone composed of Shuiyuan and Grey Thunder who was seriously injured appeared here. Starter, Senior, thank you. Shuiyuan supported the severely injured body and respectfully said to the figure in front of him. This guy was covered in thunder and could not see the specific outline, but Shuiyuan knew that this guy was part of the Thunder Lord's power. And for the traveling angel, Shuiyuan originally planned to fight to the death, but he was unexpectedly saved by the Thunder Lord. You don't need to thank me. If you want to thank me, thank my stupid apprentice. But there is one thing you have to remember. You are a descendant of the Shao family. In the future, my body will be successfully reincarnated, and we may be enemies. Just do it yourself. A light hum, as if carrying some resentment, quietly dissipated here along with the gray thunder. Alas, it's all the fault of love words. Shuiyuan shook his head helplessly, and immediately swam towards Shuiyuan City. He had something to do with the Thunderlord and some of their Shao clan bigwigs. This is something Shuiyuan already knew. So for Lay Master's intimidation, he can only shake his head. On the other side, when such a terrifying scene happened here in Shuiyuan, other things happened in Shuiyuan City. Sir City Lord, the big thing is bad. Steward Tian just rushed into the sea and fled towards the royal family of Tianxuan continent with an evil person. At this time, there are enough figures to prove that the biting incident is inextricably linked to Butler Tian, and the source of all that points to the depths of the Devil's Sea. In the Devil's Sea now, it seems that there are strong men fighting, and a black hole vortex that is enough to tear everything is coming towards us. Once it is approached, with our current strength, I am afraid that only all will fall. At this time, in front of the city lord's mansion, one after another information came to the ground from the digital scouts. Sir, Lord Jizan has brought several high-ranking members of the royal family and many missing humans to the ferry. They look nervous. It seems that there is some important news. After a while, in the silent hall, a guard broke through the door and said hurriedly, "Come on." At this moment, many high-level officials headed by the city lord Wu Kun, wriggled and walked towards the ferry. Master Jizan? After a while, everyone arrived at the ferry, and the city lord Wu Kun's face was gloomy. He took the lead and supported Jizan, but his pupils shook violently when he looked at the majestic dark figure standing above the sea. Jizan is a popular person beside the princess, and his identity and strength are prominent, and he is respected by countless strong people. Lord City Lord, it's too late to explain. How many troops are still in the city? Now we must go to save people immediately. Jizan looked at the black hole whirlpool in the distance, extremely solemn. That's a person? After Jizan finished speaking, the high-level officials of the dry watery city looked at the black hole whirlpool in the distance, where there was an angel-like supreme human being, and beside it, there was an inconspicuous human being. On the human body, blood dripped, like a dying person, but the aura that was not afraid of death surprised everyone. That kind of breath is like seeing death as home. Even if it is lost, it will still fight until the last moment. He is the biggest hero who saved us. Without him, I'm afraid we would all have to die on the sea. And he has an antidote for the biting incident. Please save him. At this moment, among the royal family behind Jizan who was closely protected by him, an old man spoke slowly. Lin Shu, 7-star fighting immortal, one of the few strategic personnel under the princess, came to solve the strange incident in Shuiyuan City, but was arrested by Mar and used it as a sacrifice. He spoke softly. My lords, please go down to rest first, and leave the rest to us. Wu Kun's expression changed and he said solemnly, I'll go with you. Jizan strongly supported. Yep, Xuanwei, follow my city master's order and go to the villa to invite the ancestors out. Suddenly, on Wu Kun's palm, a token with a huge water character appeared, and immediately faced a tall man behind him. Throw away. But my lord, the ancestor said, don't disturb him unless it is absolutely necessary. The Xuanwei man heard the words and said in surprise, Go away. Wu Kun roared angrily, and Xuanwei quickly left here. The ancestor of the hidden family of the water system? It is said that he is also a 7-star fighting immortal. With him, I'm afraid it can ease the war situation a little. Quote. For a time, many strong men gathered and rushed towards the sea. Many powerhouses took the ferry and slowly went towards the black hole whirlpool in the depths of the sea. They knew that this time they went to 9 deaths, but for the sake of their families, wives and children behind them, they had no choice. If they did not stand at the forefront, they would solve the black hole whirlpool. The losses will be even more severe. And just as everyone was panicking towards the black hole vortex, another scene happened. Kacha kacha! With a sound, the angel's wings flickered behind him, and countless gods were like scorching flames swirling towards the black hole, and the tyrannical black hole vortex was easily disintegrated. Then the angel looked down and said something to the tiny human in front of him, tearing apart the void and disappearing here. Silence. Seeing this scene appear in their pupils, the entire sea area was silent. I thought that this time there were 10 deaths and no life, but who would have thought that this little human actually shocked the angel? No matter what the reason was, he shook the angel away, and also forced the angel to erase the black hole vortex. Everyone saw it with their own eyes. He is the hero of Shuiyuan City. Ancestor, this? At the same moment, looking at the asterisk guy above the sea, Wu Kun said to an elderly man beside him. To be able to shock the wandering angels back, this is something this old man has never seen before. Go pick him up. He does have an antidote on him, and at the same time, he is listed as a hero of our Shuiyuan City. The majestic voice appeared in everyone's heart like an unquestionable order. Yes! A loud and excited voice sounded. Cough, cough. Is it the limit? Xiaoyan floated in front of him, and with the fall of the Devil's Lair, the forbidden air force in the sea was disintegrated, but at this time Xiaoyan's breath was extremely sluggish and he looked like he was dying. Boom boom boom. Mr. Xiaoyan. Just when Xiaoyan was struggling, voices of relief poured into Xiaoyan's line of sight, accompanied by the magnificent body of the dark underworld. It's okay, I just passed out temporarily. Go back. After carefully examining Xiaoyan's body, the group immediately returned to Shuiyuan City in a mighty way, and with the antidote given by Xiaoyan's dark underworld priest and Jizan's information, Xiaoyan's identity was respected by countless people in Shuiyuan City for a while. 9 deaths in a lifetime to break into the magic cave, fighting the angels alone to fight for time. He could have retreated but was a tough enemy, the #1 person in all ages. The error-free chapters of Fight Breaking the Sky God of Yan Emperor will continue to be updated on linktonovel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting, please collect it. The Yandi of the God of Fighting is the fastest to update. Continuing from the previous episode 1812. Far away on the other side, in the original temple of Li Sol Domain. Hoo-hoo, a tall gray throne like a stalwart. Above the throne, countless gray thunderbolts were as quiet as they were welcoming the return of their true king, prostrate around the temple. Shabu shabu. With a sound, countless gray thunders trembled, seemingly turning into a vague shadow standing above the void, and at the same time, the figure sitting on the throne opened his eyes slightly. Forged Chifei, Thunderlord's afterimage. In his body, since you left the Tomb of Thunder, I have a trace of my breath. The crisis just now has been resolved according to your intention. I took action to help him. Lei Lord Ziying said softly. Hoo-hoo. Thank you, teacher. Listening to the voice of the Master Lei, Du Chifei sat on the throne in relief. In a short time, you will be completely reincarnated, and I will be successfully reincarnated. At that time, the Thunder Emperor's sacred scripture will appear on him. Lei Lord Afterimage continued. Teacher, let's start. I need strength to defend something. Quote. As soon as the voice fell, the silence here was restored, but the power in Duo Chifei's body became more and more tyrannical, and the pattern of reincarnation became completely bright. It will also come in the form of rebirth, and 2 supreme powers will be born at that time. Of course, that's all for later. On the other side, in the Shuiyuan City on the Tianxuan continent. Ever since Xiaoyan was in a coma, he has been placed in the city lord's mansion by Wu Kun and others, taking care of him day and night for fear of any loss, and with the antidote of the dark underworld and Jizan's explanation, the biting incident and the evil deeds of Tian Steward, it is also completely exposed. Taking advantage of his position, Tian Steward has been serving as the *** of Sin Sima, and secretly imprisoned all the visitors in Shuiyuan City and sent them to the Devil's Lair for the Devil's experiment. But now the truth is revealed. Xiaoyan's heroic name resounds throughout Shuiyuan City. This guy has been in a coma for a month. It's only 10 days before the election ceremony for the 3 candidates. It will take at least 3 days to travel from Shuiyuan City to Tianxuan City. It's too late for this. At this time, the city owner in the hall of the mansion, the city lord Wu Kun, walked back and forth, extremely worried about Xiaoyan's situation. City lord, don't be impatient. Xiaoyan's injury is not serious, but he is still unconscious. This subordinate doesn't know. Among the crowd, a doctor hurriedly said, Forget it. This thing can't be rushed. My lords, please go back to Tianxuan City first. With your help, we can rest assured that the princess is safe. As for Sir Shuiyuan, I will wait for him to wake up and take him back with me. Watching the crowd surging in the hall, everyone, Jizan got up and said, "Hey, I'm worried about everyone." Just as everyone was discussing, a dashing laughter appeared in the hall like a gentle breeze. "Little guy, you have done a good job this time." Many powerful people, including the royal family's important minister Kixing Do Xian Lin Shu, the city owner and others watched Shuiyuan come safe and sound, and a smile appeared in their hearts. It's all about luck. Shuiyuan also smiled slightly when he looked at the powerhouses present. Don't be arrogant or impetuous, this guy is very human. Looking at Shuiyuan's scene, Lin Shu was secretly shocked. Being able to knock back the angels showed his strength or that there was a big man behind him. His conduct was neither arrogant nor impetuous. Guys, you will be great in the future. Now the matter in Shuiyuan City has been solved perfectly. What are your plans? Shuiyuan walked to his seat and sat down, and said, "There are still 10 days before the election starts. In 10 days, we spent 3 days on the road, and there are still 7 days left. These 7 days will be the last stage of the 3 major phases open and secret struggle. I think the other 2 electors will send strong men to besiege the princess at all costs, because this election is based on the 3 of them. Falling, I am afraid that the forces behind him will collapse in an instant." Smiling at Shuiyuan, Jizan took the lead, stood up and explained. Oh, Shuiyuan was a little surprised when he heard this. Master Jizan is the personal bodyguard beside the princess, and the 2 of them had a long-standing relationship. Looking at Shuiyuan's doubtful gaze, Lin Shu explained. "So it is," Shuiyuan said with relief. "So after returning this time, I made a rash decision to let Lord Shuiyuan protect the princess." Jizan looked at Shuiyuan expectantly. Shuiyuan's actions through the Devil's Lair can be considered to have completely conquered Jizan. Therefore, by letting Shuiyuan protect his most beloved person, Ji Xuanfang can safely fall into the battle and kill the enemy. "What about you?" Shuiyuan asked back. From Jizan's words just now, Shuiyuan could easily detect a touch of determination. "I will assassinate the other 2 princes. Regardless of success or failure, I must create some pressure on them." Jizan took a deep breath and said word by word. "I can't do things like protecting people, so you should do it. Give me the information on the remaining 2 princes, and I will personally take action and kill one of them. Even if it fails, I am afraid it will be enough to disrupt their plans." After Shuiyuan finished speaking, he turned around and turned his back to everyone. "Go to your home." "Sir Shuiyuan, thank you." Hearing Shuiyuan's understated voice, Jizan's pupils became moist again. The assassination mission was originally a life and death task, but in order for the princess to be elected, Jizan had to choose. Now Shuiyuan's move undoubtedly really infected Jizan, so that when the Endless Fire territory suffered a great disaster in the future, Jizan and his wife were the first to fight back. However, Jizan did not know that Shuiyuan was actually just looking for the whereabouts of the devil fruit, because with some speculations from Shuiyuan, Gamma and Butler Tien should flee between the 2 princes. Tomorrow morning, UU reading link to www.ucanshu.com will leave. With the last sound, Shuiyuan also disappeared here. "Everyone, go back and have a good rest today," Jizan said with a free and easy smile. Hoo, this time is really lucky." Shuiyuan returned to his residence, set up the next soul barrier, and immediately sat cross-legged on the bed, carefully examining his body. After this battle, Shuiyuan's power increased to the late stage of the 5-star fighting immortal, and he even got lucky enough to obtain a dark underworld warrior comparable to the initial stage of the 8-star fighting immortal, as well as a lot of information that he knew that the eternal fire eternal ruler could evolve into an artifact. However, the time of Emperor Tuoshi's appearance was limited, and his memory was not complete, so Shuiyuan was also at a loss as to how the ancient ruler of the eternal fire eternal could evolve. Take care of the aura and the body, and when the election is over after returning, you will be able to contact Immortal Flame. When the time comes, with the blessing of the Immortal Fire, I am afraid that I will be able to touch the supreme immortality." Shuiyuan said, standing alone on the bed to practice, and the breath in his body was also working a little bit. Just don't underestimate Shuiyuan in the late stage of the 5-star Do Xian. Just by competing with the Do Qi energy in the Do core, I am afraid that at this time Xiaoyan is comparable to the human beings in the early stage of the 6-star Do Xian. At this time, the second green wood attribute bucket core in Xiaoyan's body was also slowly rotating. Once Xiaoyan had mastered the wood attribute skills and combined fire and wood, he would be able to achieve a leapfrog battle without using the swallowing flame technique. Continuing from the previous episode 1813. The next day, Xiaoyan and the others were ready to go. After saying goodbye to Shuiyuan City, the group headed out from the secret passage to the Tianxuan Mountains of Tianxuan City. During the 3 days on the way, Tianxuan City was also surging. For nothing else, just because there are 10 days left, the final election will be held. Once the election falls, the next emperor of the Tianxuan continent will be elected, and the 2 unsuccessful candidates may not escape bad luck, so at this moment, the entire above the dozens of mountains in Tianxuan City, people panic. In the Tianxuan Mountains, in the Sea of Flowers where Princess Lin Yunshu lives, the long hall of Huahai covered the entire garden. Countless bright flowers bloomed first, and the fragrant fragrance was suffocating, and at the end of the flower sea corridor above the elegant pavilion, several figures with sharp breaths appeared here one after another. Your Highness Princess. At this time, Lin Yunshu was surrounded by a lot of strong people, but these strong people did not speak, but stood quietly by each other, quietly watching the princess. As for Lin Shuang, she was not leaving, and it was faint there is something unspeakable. Today's Tianxuan Mountains can be described as a gathering of elites, and with the means of Xiaoyan and the princess before, these guys have completely stood in the same boat with the princess, and the principle of one glory and one glory will prevent them from making any betrayal. What's the matter? Let's talk about it. Lin Yunshu was wearing an elegant cyan skirt today, showing off her princess-like noble temperament to the fullest, and her eyes squinted lightly. It is natural to summon these elites today. For the next most important part, there is news from a scout on the front line, and there is news from Lord Jizan. Lin Shuang hesitated for a while, but still said, she has followed the princess for a long time, and naturally she has witnessed many things between the princess and Jizan, so she knows the difference between the two. Delicate relationship. What news? Her Royal Highness heard the words, the originally calm face suddenly experienced violent mood swings, and her expression suddenly changed dramatically. Countless flower seas were shaking and trembling, and even the bright flower sea was above the sky. The grand plan of the stars is looming. If that kind of power is fully exerted, even a 7-star fighting immortal can only tremble at it. Master Jizan is fine. It is said that a human named Xiaoyan accompanied Master Jizan to solve all the hidden dangers in Shuiyuan City. Now they are rushing back with Master Lin Shu. At this time, among the crowd a white-haired old man walked vigorously in the sea of flowers and spoke softly. Elder Lin. Lin Yunshu heard the words, bent down gracefully, and nodded lightly to the old man. There are still 10 days before the final election stage, so before the 10 days arrive, the old man will stay with the princess, and I hope the princess can understand the good intentions of my waiting. The white-haired old man is a middle-aged woman, but her eyes that have been through the years are filled with an endless sense of forest. The late-stage powerhouse of 7-star fighting immortals, Lin Sha. It is said that these powerhouses are the guardians of the Tianxuan Mountains. They once fought side by side with the modern emperors. They are the real powerhouses. Compared with the previous 7-star fighting immortals, Lin Hong is undoubtedly too tyrannical in terms of age and strength. Lin Yunshu also knew the importance of the matter, so he didn't stop there, nodded and said, but now the other 2 electors may not be able to hold on anymore. As far as I know, Lin Feng's subordinates have vaguely joined the Holy Sea powerhouse, and their combat power is the highest among the 3. However, that Lin Fengya is quite strange. When the disaster occurred in Shuiyuan City, he once took the strong man out of Tianxuan City in person, and went to investigate with the reputation, but he just went back halfway to the mountain range. In the middle, I vaguely received some mysterious person. Lin Sha continued. For a while, behind Lin Sha, the old lady Lin Hong, who was in the early stage of the 7-star Do Xian, and many other powerful people in the late stage of the 6-star Do Xian, Lin Hao and Lin Shuang, approached and tried to analyze. Lin Hao, I sent you to pick up Lord Xiaoyan, and go with Xiaoyan to assassinate Lin Fengya. Even if it doesn't work, you have to create some pressure on him. Lin Yunshu rolled her eyes and thought for a while. After all, he is also aware of the conduct of Ji Zan and Xiaoyan. Yes. Under the order of Princess Lin Yunshu, many strong men also disappeared in an orderly manner, leaving only the princess and Lin Sha. The princess seems to have noticed something too. Lin Sha's eyes flickered and she said softly while checking that there was no other strong person in the Sea of Flowers. The affairs of Shuiyuan City shouldn't be so simple, right? Lin Yunshu asked tentatively. Well, only a very few people know that behind Shuiyuan City is the conspiracy of the fifth Sinner Mar and the Holy Sea Tour Angel, but Xiaoyan alone solved it. Lin Sha said, so this seemingly harmless Lin Fengya is probably the most terrifying one, but if there is an angel's help behind Lin Feng, I'm afraid our odds of winning. Lin Yunshu shook his head. It was obvious that his current strength could not be as hard as an angel. Resistance, after all, the minimum requirements for angels, their strengths have reached the ranks of the 7-star fighting immortals of human beings. But angels are different from humans. The mere strength of the 7-star fighting immortals, with the help of the power of the angel wings, is enough to compete with the 8-star fighting immortals, and even with the blessing of the angel wings, the power of the angels is even more terrifying. Don't worry, if it is a 7-star Dushan level angel, she can still deal with it. If it is an 8-star, she should not have the courage to appear in the airspace of our Tianxuan continent. The matter of Shuiyuan City is because it is in the deep sea, so the aura of strength is hidden, but it is completely different when it appears in the airspace of our continent, because this is the ban of the Do Di Sifan continent on our Tianxuan continent. It is impossible for the 8-star Do Xian to appear in the Tianxuan continent, otherwise it will attract the sanctioners who are in charge of the Do Di continent. Even an angel can only be shriveled. Lin Sha smiled, and the silence was restored here. On the other side, in the Tianxuan Mountains. With the arrival of the parade angel Macau, we will definitely succeed in this election. At that time, our star continent will be completely subservient to the Holy See, he. At this time, Lin Feng said to a shadowy figure in front of him with a smile on his face. Tianxuan continent has restrictions. My power can only release Qixing Dushan consummation, and only when Gamma shows up will I take action. Into your own house. A parade angel, sooner or later, I will be completely trampled underfoot. Watching Macau disappear, Lin Feng's face changed from a hippie smile to a hideous one, and an awe-inspiring death filled his heart. The last place is in the Tianxuan Mountains. Sir, Master Gamma and Master Soul Wuji have been arranged properly, but there seems to be something wrong with these two. At this time, a man bathed in black shadows on the edge of a cliff respectfully greeted Lin Feng, who was sitting in a wheelchair. Cliff Road. Send someone to keep an eye on them. The 8-star Do Xian of Soul Flame has already left here, but Soul Wuji is the head of the Wangtang Hall of Soul Palace. The power of the 7-star Do Xian's perfection is enough to become the killer of this election. Also pay attention to Gamma. I'm afraid that because of the Devil's Lair, his mind will be shaken. Let him prepare things. If the facts are really out of control, I can only use the election ceremony as my promotion to the devil. Follow your orders, Prince. The two figures said slightly, and calm was restored here. Father, the disease on your body was custom made for you by Urchin with great difficulty. In the future, if the star continent is in my hands, a more powerful and prosperous world will definitely erupt. After speaking, Lin Fengya actually stood on the wheelchair. When he got up, at the ankle, a dark green aura like a demon slowly lingered. Continuing from the previous episode 1814. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. The Skystar continent seemed peaceful, but there was a hidden murderous intention, and Xiaoyan and the others also quietly reached a secret passage on the edge of Skystar City. Is it Master Xiaoyan? The passageway just wriggled, dozens of figures appeared, and Lin Hao asked the crowd. Let's go. Xiaoyan agreed softly, and immediately laughed. His body took a step forward, and he waved to Ji Zan and the others. During the 3 days in the passage, Xiaoyan also had a general understanding of the other two electors. Lin Feng should have the support of the Holy See behind him. In addition, he has the elites of the main battle faction in his hands, and the fighting strength is 3 people. The strongest among them, Lin Fengya, on the other hand, does not have any advantage, but Xiaoyan also deduced from their information that Lin Fengya may have an affair with the Soul Palace and the crime, coupled with the low-key behavior. This guy is also not to be underestimated. Brother Xiaoyan, There will be a future. Jizan and others also knew the heavy responsibility on their shoulders, so they were not pretentious, clenched their fists, and parted ways directly. Lord Xiaoyan, the princess asked me to cooperate with you. But now that Prince Lin Feng and Prince Lin Fengya are together, we can choose to go to one place. I don't know. Lin Hao didn't talk much and looked at Xiaoyan just right. Go to the Tianxuan mountain range and create some trouble for Lin Fengya. Xiaoyan smiled slightly, but he also had many doubts about this assassination, so let the ordinary 5-star fighting immortals and 6-star fighting immortals go to surround and kill with 7-star fighting immortals to protect them. The prince, this is an impossible thing. I am afraid that Mingzi will assassinate, but in fact there are other things. Lin Fengya had a good reputation, but Xiaoyan noticed from Jizan and others' previous intelligence conversations that it seemed that Lin Fengya was the most troublesome of the three. Moreover, Xiaoyan felt that Gamma was rescued on the way because of Lin Fengya's actions. Now of the remaining 2 devil fruits, one is completely ripe, and the other is half ripe. Both are in Gamma's hands, and Xiaoyan has to get it no matter what. The power of the devil is evil, but the enormous power it contains is even more terrifying than the holy flame. There is also one of the most bizarre places. Xiaoyan's intuition tells himself that the power of demons seems to originate from the underworld. In addition to Xiaoyan, I learned that there are dark powers in the 10 halls of Yama, so Xiaoyan boldly guessed that the underworld and the Xiao clan have a lot of relationship, and the devil fruit should be the key to entering the underworld. Only the successful acquisition of the devil fruit. I am afraid that all the secrets of the Xiao clan will be revealed in the future when they go to the 100-year appointment. Let's go. Hearing Xiaoyan blurted out, Lin Hao smiled indifferently, and then the 2 of them joined together, turning into 2 ordinary people who were no more than ordinary people, and left facing the Tianxuan Mountains. The speed of the 2 was extremely fast. Even though the Tianxuan Mountains were heavily guarded at this time, under Lin Hao's precise arrangement, the 2 of them reached the top of the Tianxuan Mountains directly in a short period of time. The immortal rank pill, come and have a look. The weapon of the divine weapon, the amulet to deal with the enemy of monsters, don't miss it when you pass by. The 2 easily bypassed the many defenses of the Tianxuan Mountains, and immediately successfully mixed into the Tianxuan City. At this time, the city was at noon. The scorching sun is like fire, and there is an endless stream of people in the past, and the shouts continue to sound. Is Lin Fengya a lame? Xiaoyan and Lin Hao were easily mixed in the crowd, Xiaoyan asked using his soul power. Well, but no one knows the reason. Since the emperor fell ill, this is what Lin Fengya said. It's just that all the civil and military officials in the royal family have seen it. It is said that it can't be faked. Lin Hao didn't know why Xiaoyan asked this. This is already the core area of the Tianxuan Mountains. Lin Fengya's mansion is in the center of the city, which is a bit. Xiaoyan ignored Lin Hao and looked up to himself, a huge and magnificent mansion standing in the city the center, but Xiaoyan always felt that something was wrong. This mansion is also full of danger, but what is even more strange is that there is a morbid condition that is difficult to detect, as if it is sick and lacks vitality. In this situation, the last time Xiaoyan saw him, he was still in the devil's lair, so he hesitated for a while. It doesn't matter, first sneak in and take a look. If the situation is not right, make plans. Lin Hao responded to Xiaoyan. Wait, I'll go, you are responsible for answering me outside. Xiaoyan's eyes kept hovering over Lin Hao and the mansion, and he said after half a night. But your strength. At this time, Lin Hao was in a bit of trouble. Xiaoyan had a distinguished status, but was highly praised by the princess and others, and he was also the lord of the endless fire realm. If anything went wrong in his mission, I'm afraid Lin Hao himself. Don't worry, Xiaoyan gestured to Lin Hao, and immediately he was alone and drowned in the sea of people. I hope this guy can succeed. Even if he can't assassinate Lin Fengya, it is enough to find some useful clues. After Lin Hao finished speaking, he also went to an inn in the city to prepare a formation. To prepare for the unexpected. You shouldn't be able to summon the dark underworld here, so you can only come by yourself. I am now in the late stage of the 5-star fighting immortal. As long as I don't encounter a 6-star fighting immortal perfection level powerhouse, I can retreat completely. If it is a 7-star fighting immortal, I am afraid that the chances of escaping are only 3 layers. Xiaoyan murmured in his heart, after all, there are powerhouses here. The wood properties he cultivated are too strange to be inferred from common sense. Tianxuan City is still continuing its prosperity, and during the day, Shuiyuan did not act rashly, going back and forth around the palace mansion. After circling dozens of circles to find out the basic situation around the palace, he simply found an inn to live in. At night, Shuiyuan just put on a black robe, and his whole body was covered by a ghostly aura unique to the ghost face and soul flame. He left the house alone, climbed to the roof, and quietly sneaked into the palace. The night in Tianxuan City was quite quiet. The bright moon hung in the sky, and a trace of pure white moonlight shone down, rendering the entire city quite mysterious, but the palace mansion was filled with awe. The aura here is not quite right. Even if Lin Fengya is really lame, he should have the special power of the wood attribute. I can feel it. Why can't feel any aura when he exerts all his soul power now? Shuiyuan lying quietly on a wall, with the help of the black on and the shadow of the tree, outsiders could not find him. After staring at the palace for a while, Shuiyuan found that the palace was filled with black shadows, and the shadows were like poisonous snakes hidden in the dark night. Going deep into it, it is easy to reveal your identity. I want to see what exactly is in this palace mansion. The power of the soul spreads like a tidal wave. After confirming that there is no 7-star fighting immortal powerhouse in the palace mansion, Shuiyuan moves slowly into the palace like a ghost. Towards the depths of the palace.